the strange reason these 5 cars keep winning owners over. Every year, J.D. Power asks hundreds of thousands of owners the same blunt question: would you buy this exact vehicle again? And every year, the same handful of SUVs land near the top, not the ones with the biggest engines, not the ones with the flashiest tech, not even the ones critics rave about. The same quietly unglamorous SUVs keep winning owners back year after year, and once you understand the actual reason why, you'll never shop for a car the same way again. Today, I'm counting down 5 SUVs with a strange shared secret behind their loyalty numbers. Before we get into the list, I want you to notice something these 5 vehicles have in common, because it's the whole point of this video. None of them are the fastest in their class. None of them have the most horsepower, the biggest screen, or the most buzzworthy launch event. On paper, a lot of automotive journalists would tell you to buy something else. And yet, when you look at actual ownership data, repurchase intent, long-term satisfaction surveys, these 5 keep beating out flashier, more expensive competitors. That's not an accident, and it's not really a mystery once you dig into it. It comes down to a strange, simple pattern manufacturers rarely admit to out loud. The SUVs owners love the most are almost never the SUV that win the test drive. They're the ones that win the 2nd year, the 5th year, the 10th year, quietly, without drama. Let's count them down. Number 5, the Subaru Outback. On a spec sheet, the Outback looks like it's underachieving. A 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder making 182 horsepower in the base trim, a CVT transmission that no enthusiast magazine will ever call exciting, and styling that's barely changed in spirit for 2 decades. And yet Subaru consistently posts some of the highest owner loyalty numbers in the entire industry, year after year, according to IHS Market Loyalty data. I know a family, a couple with 3 kids and 2 dogs, who bought their first Outback in 2014 specifically because it was the boring, sensible choice after cross-shopping a CR-V and the RAV4. They've since bought 2 more Outbacks for their older kids back-to-back in 2019 and 2023. When I asked the mom why she keeps going back to the same unglamorous wagon, she didn't talk about horsepower or styling at all. She talked about how the seats never wore out, how the standard all-wheel drive got her through 6 Michigan winters without a single slide-out, and how nothing on the car has ever felt like it was about to fail. That's the strange reason hiding underneath Subaru's loyalty numbers. The Outback isn't designed to impress you in the first 30 minutes behind the wheel. It's designed to still feel completely normal, completely trustworthy at year 8. Standard symmetrical all-wheel drive on every single trim, no upsell, no AWD package you have to pay the extra for. A ride height that splits the difference between car and SUV, so it never feels like you're driving a truck. And critically, a service network of independent Subaru specialists nationwide who know these boxer engines inside and out, which keeps long-term maintenance costs surprisingly reasonable compared to German competitors with similar all-weather capability. Compare an 8-year-old Outback to an 8-year-old Audi all-road, and the ownership experience isn't close. One's still cruising to soccer practice, the other one's got an oil consumption problem and a check engine light for a sensor that costs $400 to diagnose alone. If you're shopping for a used one, the head gasket issues that plagued Subaru's earlier 2.5-liter engines were mostly resolved by the 2011 redesign, so stick with 2015 and newer if you want total peace of mind. Check the CVT fluid history, since Subaru recommends a change around 60,000 miles that a lot of owners skip, thinking CVTs are maintenance-free. They are not. Do that one service and you've got a wagon that will happily cross another 100,000 miles without complaint. Number 4, the Toyota 4Runner. Automotive journalists have spent 15 years complaining about the 4Runner. Old platform-thirsty V6, a 5-speed transmission when everyone else moved to 8 or 9 speeds, a ride quality that's noticeably trucky compared to car-based crossovers. Every single review says some version of "it's due for a replacement." And yet, the 4Runner posts repurchase rates that make journalists look silly. because owners keep buying the exact same outdated truck generation after generation. I have a customer, a wildlife biologist who spends half her year doing field work on unpaved roads in national forests, who bought her first 4Runner in 2011, specifically because a colleague told her, buy the one that never leaves you stranded, not the one that has the nicest cup holders. She's at 240,000 miles on the original engine and transmission, and when it's time to replace it, she's already told me she's just buying another 4Runner, the newest one available at the time. No cross-shopping, no test drives of anything else. The strange reason behind this loyalty is almost embarrassingly simple. Toyota deliberately refused to modernize the 4Runner's platform because doing so would have meant giving up the body-on-frame construction, the low-range transfer case, and the mechanical simplicity that makes it nearly impossible to strand an owner in the middle of nowhere. Every competitor that switched to a unibody crossover platform gained ride comfort and fuel economy and lost exactly the kind of go-anywhere reliability that made people buy a 4Runner in the first place. Toyota essentially bet that a small, fiercely loyal audience who value "will never leave me stranded" over "nice to drive to the grocery store" was worth keeping happy, even if it meant getting mocked in every comparison test for a decade straight. If you're shopping for one, the 4.0-liter V6 is essentially bulletproof. Timing belt trucks from 2003 to 2009 need that belt serviced on schedule, but 2010 and newer models switched to a timing chain and basically eliminated that maintenance item altogether. Check the frame for rust on rust belt examples and confirm the rear differential fluid has been changed, since it's another commonly forgotten service item. Handle those two things and you're looking at an SUV that will happily outsurvive several newer, more advanced crossovers parked next to it. If this pattern is starting to click for you, that manufacturers who chase magazine praise often lose the owners who matter most, go ahead and hit subscribe, because the rest of this list gets even stranger. Number 3, the Mazda CX-5. This one surprises people because Mazda doesn't have Toyota or Subaru's decades-long reputation for indestructibility. What Mazda has instead is something almost nobody talks about: interior material quality and driving feel that consistently outpunches its price point, which creates an emotional loyalty that's rare in the compact crossover segment. J.D. Power's Appeal studies, which measure how much owners genuinely enjoy their vehicle rather than just tolerate it, have ranked the CX-5 near the top of its class repeatedly. A young couple I know cross-shopped a CX-5 against a Honda CR-V and a Toyota RAV4 back in 2020, expecting to land on one of the obvious safe choices. They test drove all three in one afternoon and ended up buying the Mazda purely because, in the wife's words, "it didn't feel like we were settling." 4 years and 58,000 miles later, they're already planning to buy the newest CX-5 when their lease is up. And they've told friends the same thing, unprompted, more than once. Here's the strange reason this keeps happening. Mazda made a very deliberate, almost stubborn decision years ago to compete on driving dynamics and interior craftsmanship instead of chasing the biggest touchscreen or the longest feature list. The CX-5's chassis tuning, cabin insulation, and switchgear feel genuinely more expensive than its price tag suggests, and that gap between expectation and reality creates outsized owner satisfaction. People don't just tolerate a CX-5, they feel like they got away with something, like they found a secretly nicer car hiding behind a mainstream badge. That feeling is exactly what drives repeat buyers back to the same brand. Mechanically, the Skyactiv G 2.5-liter four-cylinder is a straightforward, naturally aspirated engine with a strong reliability track record, and the optional turbo version adds power without meaningfully hurting long-term durability, provided you stick with the recommended premium fuel on higher trims. When shopping used, check for any timing chain rattle on cold starts on early 2017 models, since a small number had tensioner issues addressed under a service bulletin, and confirm regular oil changes, since Mazda's turbo engines are a little less forgiving of extended intervals than the older, naturally aspirated versions. Number 2, the Kia Telluride. 5 years ago, almost nobody would have predicted a Kia would land this high on any loyalty list. But the Telluride broke something in the industry when it launched. Wait lists stretching months long, dealers adding markups buyers paid anyway. And now, years into its life cycle, the repurchase numbers are staying just as strong as the initial hype, which is the part that actually matters. I know a family who bought a 2020 Telluride specifically because they couldn't get a Toyota Highlander without a 6-month wait and a $5,000 markup. They expected to tolerate the Kia until something better came along. 3 years later, at 71,000 miles with 0 major repairs beyond routine maintenance, they traded it in for a brand new Telluride rather than even test driving anything else. When I asked why, the husband said something that stuck with me. It never once made us feel like we'd settled for the backup option. That sentiment, repeated across hundreds of thousands of owners, is exactly what's driving Kia's loyalty numbers into territory that used to belong exclusively to Toyota and Honda. The strange reason behind this one is almost cultural rather than mechanical. Kia spent the better part of a decade rebuilding its reputation methodically, extending one of the longest warranties in the industry, refining its interior quality generation over generation, and specifically designing the Telluride's third row and cargo area around actual American family usage patterns rather than just matching a competitor's spec sheet. The V6 engine underneath is a proven, naturally aspirated unit shared across multiple Hyundai and Kia products, so it benefits from millions of miles of real-world testing before it ever went into a 3-row family hauler. There's no exotic engineering here, just a company that decided to stop cutting corners and started actually listening to what family buyers complained about in older Kia products. If you're shopping used, the main things to check are the timing chain tensioner on early 2020 model year units, since a small percentage were replaced under a service campaign, and the transmission fluid service history on the 8-speed automatic, which Kia recommends changing more frequently than owners typically assume. Beyond that, you're looking at a genuinely young platform with an unusually strong reliability track record for its segment, backed by a warranty that makes buying used almost as safe as buying new. And now, number one, the one that ties this whole strange pattern together, the Honda CR-V. If you want to understand why the least exciting SUV on this entire list also wins owners over more consistently than almost anything else on the road, you need to stop thinking about it as a vehicle and start thinking about it as a habit. Generation after generation, the CR-V posts some of the highest loyalty numbers of any vehicle sold in America, not because it wins comparison tests, but because it almost never gives an owner a reason to think about buying anything else. I have a customer whose family has bought a new CR-V every single generation since 1997. Her mother bought the first one, she bought her own in 2009, and she just traded that one in on a 2024 model with 214,000 miles on the original engine and transmission, sold not because anything broke, but because she wanted the updated safety tech for her teenage daughter who just started driving. That's 4 generations of the exact same purchasing decision made by the exact same family across nearly 3 decades. And when I asked her why she never even considered a RAV4 or an Escape, she looked at me like the question didn't make sense. Why would I switch to something else when nothing's ever gone wrong? Here's the strange reason underneath all of it. Honda has spent over 2 decades deliberately resisting the urge to chase trends with the CR-V. No unnecessary turbo until reliability data justified it. No aggressive styling changes that risk alienating existing owners. No feature bloat that adds failure points without adding real value. The engineering team treats every redesign as an opportunity to fix small annoyances rather than reinvent the vehicle, which means an owner moving from a 2015 CR-V to a 2024 CR-V feels immediate familiarity rather than a jarring reset. That continuity is exactly what builds multi-generational brand loyalty. A daughter buying the same vehicle her mother trusted for decades without ever needing to be convinced. Mechanically, the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder used through 2016 is about as close to bulletproof as anything in the compact segment, and even the later turbocharged 1.5-liter despite some early oil dilution complaints in cold climates, has proven reliable once Honda issued a software update addressing the issue around 2017. If you're shopping used, check for that update in the service history. If you're looking at a 2017 through 2019 model, confirm the CVT fluid has been serviced on later models, and inspect the rear subframe for rust in salt belt states, since that's genuinely the only thing that tends to end a CRV early. Handle those three things, and you're looking at the single most repeat purchased SUV in America, generation after generation, for a reason that has nothing to do with excitement and everything to do with trust. So there's your strange pattern, laid bare across 5 completely different brands: the Subaru Outback, the Toyota 4Runner, the Mazda CX-5, the Kia Telluride, and the Honda CR-V. None of them are the fastest, the flashiest, or the most talked about vehicles in their segment. Every single one of them would lose a spec sheet argument to some competitor with a bigger engine or a longer feature list, and yet every single one of them keeps winning the only comparison that actually matters long-term, whether an owner comes back and buys the same thing again. The real secret isn't hidden in any one engine or transmission. It's a philosophy these 5 manufacturers landed on independently. Build something that quietly does its job without drama, and owners will forgive almost anything else: a plain interior, a slow-selling color palette, an unglamorous badge, as long as the vehicle never breaks their trust. Meanwhile, the SUVs that win every headline and every test drive often lose the only vote that actually costs a manufacturer money down the road, whether that same owner comes back 5 years later with cash in hand. Next time you're shopping, don't just ask a salesperson which SUV is the most impressive on paper. Ask a mechanic which ones keep coming back into the shop for nothing but oil changes, and which owners never seem to be shopping around when it's time to trade in. That's the real loyalty data, and it's usually hiding in plain sight in the driveway of the most boring-looking SUV on your street. If this changed the way you think about car loyalty, hit subscribe, because I dig into exactly this kind of ownership data every single week. The numbers dealerships never put in a brochure. Drop a comment and tell me which SUV your family keeps buying again and again. I read every one of them. Take care of whatever you're driving, and it really will take care of you back.